He also co-owns a business called Optometric Insights with Dr. Mile Brujek. If you've heard of Dr. Mile Brujek, they're partners in this. And they have a tagline which fits right into what he's going to talk about today, and it's inspires success. Right? Inspires success. It's a great tagline for what Dave's all about. So with that, I'd like to introduce Dr. Dave Kading. Give a round of applause. Thanks, Dave.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Absolutely. Can I have that?
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I want to mention that I am absolutely honored to be here. You all have at your table here, start with why the book. And what I'd like to do today is I'd like to enrich each of your lives, and I'd like to inspire you. And if you can walk away from this meeting with a quarter of the inspiration that I have from this message, you'll transform your own life and the family members' lives and each of the patients' lives that you interact with through the doctor. And so if I can share that with you and even give you a portion of how this message has transformed me, it'll be a success. As we look at as we look at the industry of eye care, and as we look at other industries as well, what separates companies that are successful and companies that have failed? What is it? You know, is it the fact that they make a lot of money? Is it the fact that they come out with novel products? TiVo. How many of you have a TiVo? None of you. Well, some of you have it, but how many of you have like a system like TiVo, like, you know, on your Dish network or something like that? But how many of you actually have the brand name of TiVo? None of you. But TiVo was who invented this system, right? How come they're not successful? Why did they fail? There's an airline that's out there that was called TED. How many of you remember the TED airline? How many of you flew TED to get here? Why did it fail? Did they go up in the air and come back down? Yeah, they did. How about an airline like Southwest Airlines? There's an airline that really probably shouldn't be around, but they are, right? Why does Southwest Airlines still exist? Do you know when Southwest Airlines entered into the world, do you know who their competition was? Who's Southwest Airlines target for their competition? Let me back up and tell you why Southwest Airlines exists. Southwest Airlines exists to provide air travel for the common man. They didn't go after Delta. They didn't go after American Airlines. They went after trains and automobiles. That's who they were targeting. They had a very clear picture of their why. In Eyecare, you all get to go into these fantastic practices, right? Practices that are very successful, and you get to encounter practitioners who seem like they're pretty successful, and then you encounter others who seem apathetic. You know, and what is it that separates a practitioner who is successful? So the success and the failure system, and you've all kind of seen the circle here. I know Todd has brought this up to you, where within all of the industries that I've talked about, and all of the companies that I've talked about, and every single practice that you walk into, they know what they do, right? Provide eye care, right? That's what I do. So one of the things that Optometric Insights does, the business that Emil Brujik and I own, is we inspire success. We do that by discussing things and doing career coaching with optometry students. So these students get out. I want to go practice, and I want to own my own practice, you know? I want to be an eye care practitioner. I want to provide eye care. Why? Right? They all know their what. Great companies know how they're going to do that, right? You know, you guys provide single-use lenses, daily disposables, but you know how to do that, right? You've got some great products that can provide that for people. But it's only the fantastic companies that can go beyond this and can get into the why. And I want to talk with you a little bit about a gentleman by the name of Langley. How many of you have heard of Langley? Yeah, great. How come you know of Langley? You saw the video, read the book. Good. How many of you knew who Langley was before that? Neither did I. Professor Langley actually was a professor of mathematics at Harvard. He was on staff as one of the secretaries, the chief secretaries at the Smithsonian. Langley had some great ideas about air travel and flights. In fact, he built one of the most fantastic non-manned air travel systems. And so as a result of all of this, he was undoubtedly going to become the man to bring about manned air travel. And here's what he had. He had a $50,000 grant from the War Department, which in the late 1800s was huge. He had another grant from the Smithsonian. So he had huge money. He had friends like Alexander Graham Bell and, other elite people that you would all recognize their names. And the press followed him everywhere because his success was guaranteed. Do you know why he wanted to be the first to fly? So that he could be rich and famous, right? And he was pretty successful in his air travel. Here's a picture of the aerodrome. Here's a picture of the aerodrome going into the water. So he actually didn't succeed, but these two young boys from Dayton, Ohio came along and they heard about this aerodrome. In fact, they wrote letters. Wilbur wrote a letter to the Smithsonian wanting more information about the aerodrome and the flight systems that were going on. They came up with a system of this 3-axle sort of flying machine that is still used today. They wanted to know how to fly because they felt that it could change the world. They had a passion for flight and imagined the worldwide benefits. Wilbur, when he was in junior high school, he got hit in the face with a big, huge hockey stick and became completely isolated from everybody. These guys did absolutely nothing in their life, right? They decided, well, maybe we'll open a printing business. And then, all of a sudden, somebody came along and said, well, maybe you should have a bicycle. So they came up with this bicycle shop. And then they started studying and researching. They thought, this would be amazing. And all of a sudden, in 1903, December 17th, they drew straws. And Wilbur got the short straw. And Orville got to jump in the plane that they had built. And he became the first man to fly. Do you know how many people were present for this flight? 5. 5 people were there. They recorded it, fortunately. And we all know who these boys are. Wilbur died just a couple years later. Orville then brought about the whole system of flight, taught everybody how to do it. And look at what we're all here in Las Vegas because of these guys realizing the worldwide benefits of what air travel could have. What was the difference? People jumped on board with their why, right? Their why wasn't about them. It wasn't for just what they wanted. When we look at what we do and how we can influence behavior, there's 2 ways. Number 1 is we can inspire people or we can manipulate them. We can control or play upon artfully. Let's talk about an example of how we can manipulate people. How about this? You buy 3 boxes of contact lenses, we'll give you the 4th free. Anybody ever heard of that? How about if you're part of this organization, we'll give you a discount on your contact lenses versus this one? Huh? Where does the UPP sit in here? Is that manipulation? That's actually inspiration. We're flatlining. The products are all the same, or the prices are all the same for everybody. No difference. Gosh, we're not going to be able to manipulate people anymore based on price. Where does that bring things? That brings things that we have to start thinking about this in a whole new way. Gosh, maybe we can be inspired here. And in companies that have inspired have been very, very successful in what they do. That's where Southwest Airlines sits in. And there's several others and many others that we can talk about where companies have inspired us. I'd like to see if we can inspire you here. So we've been inspired by Apple, countless times. Jim showed a video the other day, right? The video of the Christmas video. Love that video. My wife almost cried when she first watched it, right? How many of you are the same? And I'm a boy and I could raise my hand. Right? Very moving, right? How many of you saw the benefits of the iPhone over the Samsung in this commercial? How many of you saw the benefits of buying a MacBook computer over a Dell computer in the commercial that Jim showed you? No, but what did it do? It drove you to believe in the why of Apple. And that why for Apple is think differently. Think different. Look at the taglines, the people that they have attributed their name with, right? These people are innovators. These people have taken the status quo and just thrown it out the window and done something different. So much so that that's really where these two Steves started the company, right? These two guys saw this industry about to explode, and they said, you know what? If any of you have ever had the opportunity to read Steve's book, Jobs' book, he just wanted to stick it to the man, big time. He was like, screw you all. We're going to take this world by storm. Just screw you all. IBM especially. That's who we're going to take over. And he said, we're just going to give everybody the opportunity to do whatever they want, so that whatever it is, in whatever capacity that they're in, they'll have the technology to do it. And that's where they started out, right? They believed in challenging the status quo. Think differently. Their products are beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. They make great computers. You want to buy one? How many of you feel that you would be inspired to do that versus, hey, we make great computers. You know what? They're beautiful, they're simple, user-friendly, want to buy one. They're talking to you about challenging the status quo. You don't see Apple commercials very often that are product-oriented. Even when they show the iPhone next to another phone or something, and they never really compare them. They just say, hey, simple to use, easy. Help you do things that are a little bit different. How many of you have been inspired by the Apple brand? Let me ask this question. How many of you own an iPhone? Let's use an iPhone as an example. How many of you own an iPhone? Keep your hands up. I would like you to lower your hands if when it comes time for you to get a new phone, you're intending to shop around. Okay? So 99% of the hands stayed up, maybe a half a person. But in reality, we've been inspired by this product. Let me give you a little hint. iPhones are probably not the best phones out there. They're probably not the most technologically advanced. And it hurts me to say that because I'm an iPhone, an iPad, and a Mac user. I mean, I have switched over. I have full bore gone into it. And that's where I want to align myself. The guy sitting on the plane last night saw me, looking at my presentation. By the way, he asked me if I was Simon Sinek. But he was working on a Surface, and it was really cool. I think that thing does more than my iPad does. Not really interested. I bought in. This is the company I want to align myself with. This is a why company and a message that I want to align myself with. And companies that are successful, they look at their why first, right? That's where Steve and Steve started. They wanted to stick it to the man. They didn't come up with the definition of what that was, but they wanted to stick it to the man. And then they wanted to make things that were kind of unique, right? When they first came out with their first computer, all the other computers were the size of a room. And they came out with pretty much the first compact computer that could sit on your desktop, right? That was their how. And what they did, they came out with computers. They thought differently. They made something that was unique. And they sold computers. They started with their why. But so many of us start with our what and then our how. So I want you to be challenged a little bit. If you've read this book or listened to the TED Talk, how many of you listened to the TED Talk? Good. I won't ask you how many didn't, because I saw all your hands. But if you listen to this, you've seen something along these lines. And I want you to just be thinking about this. I don't want you to write any of this down yet. But when you come up with your why, this is the simplified way that you do this. I wake up every morning too. You fill in the blank. Usually it's words like inspire, transform, energize, something along those lines. So that there's an outcome that's greater than you. So Optometric Insights, as Todd was talking about, we inspire success. Can I make you successful? Can I, make these optometry students that I work with successful? No, because success is greater than me. But I wake up every morning to inspire people. And success is what the outcome is. So that's a why. Your how is what makes you unique. If you were observed at your best, how would you be described? And your what, everybody knows what this is. When you think about it from the inside out, you always have to go back to as Simon says, the celery test, and there's a reason he calls it that. But the celery test is, does everything I do line up with my why? And I'll tell you why that's important in just a minute. This is my why in life. And I want to really clarify something for you, because some of you are going to be with Alcon for 30 years, and that is awesome. That is incredible. But some of you aren't. And your why will not leave you when you leave Alcon. It won't. Your why actually was embedded in you before you were 18 years old. Every single one of you has a why of why you exist. Has nothing to do with Alcon. Has nothing to do with the job or being in Eyecare. Your why is what you carry over in every aspect of your life. So mine is to enrich the lives of others so they can succeed to their greatest potential. So I wake up every morning to enrich people's lives. How I do it is I do it by being personalized and innovative. I look for novel solutions and I create them. What I do is I'm a clinician, a researcher, an employer, an advocate, an educator, a husband, and a father. You take any one of those whats, it works. The how and the why work. When it comes to being a father, I try to be personalized and innovative with my kids. Fun ideas, fun things to do, and ultimately I want to enrich their lives so they can be successful. When Brad asked me if I could come and present to you, I looked at my schedule for the day. It wasn't that many patients. So I said, there's a potential that I might be able to enrich more lives by coming here and being with you today. Potential, that's up to you. I can do what I can do so that you can succeed to your greatest potential. So I put it against the test, and it worked out. It was the best thing for me to do to be here today. This is my why in life, and I want to tell you how that really boils into my practice. So I have a practice with my wife. I work for my wife who owns 2 practices. My wife is awesome. She is incredible. We went and met in school. I hated studying with people. I got bad grades. Didn't want to study with people because they wasted all their time chatting about other things. This hot girl said she wanted to study with me. So I started studying with her, and my grades got better, so I kept studying with her and kept studying her and started studying her. And my grades went up, and I got the woman, too, so it was pretty good, right? So we graduated and moved up to Seattle. We had a job for 2 days. Out of the 10 days or 14 days that we could be working, we had a job 2 days. It was because of John Phelps, who's a DM in Austin now. He helped hook me into the practice setting that I was in. 6 years ago, we bought our own practice. We were awesome. We were solid. We took a practice that was about a $450,000 practice to about $1 million practice in about 3 years. We blew it out of the water because we knew that we were personalized and innovative. And then something happened. I didn't like practicing as much anymore. I wasn't really enjoying going to work. I knew I was being personalized and I knew I was being innovative. But Simon actually calls it a split. Something happened with me. Success was like through the roof. Like we had things all lined up. You know, we were treating patients, we were growing our specialties. Mine is in cornea and contact lenses, so I see people with all types of screwed up corneas. Not just contact lens patients, but all different types. And she does pediatrics and binocular vision. People who see double, she makes them see single. We had a split. And about a year and a half ago, I was talking with Jim. And Jim introduced me to the Start With Why book. And I was just chatting with Jim about his why. And I said, Jim, what's your personal why? And he had to kind of think about it for a second, because he's lined his why so closely with Alcon's that I believe his why is embedded in Alcon's why. So if you look on your little things, what does it say? Somebody read for me right below why I care. What does it say?
Improving patients' quality of life.
Improving patients' quality of life. I believe Jim's personal why is right there, except without patience. I believe Jim's why is improving quality of life. And I know that because he did it for me. He allowed me to recognize what my why in life has been, which has given me laser-like focus for everything that I do moving forward. Whether it's being a clinician, being a speaker. And I can put everything to the litmus test. So let me tell you how I've done it in my practice and what we've been able to accomplish as a result of that. So we were growing like gangbusters. I love seeing patients again because I don't go in there to try to be personalized and try to be innovative, because what are those things? Those are house, right? I go in there, sit down across from the patient, and I love, I wrote it down. I love what you said, Brad. I actually had to write it down. Activate your why on each call. So I have to activate my why with every single patient. When I go in and I sit down with my patient, I'm not here to sell you contact lenses. I'm not here to recommend non-glare treatment in your glasses. I'm here to enrich your life so that you can succeed to your greatest potential. You might be a truck driver, you might be a computer engineer, you might be a mortician, right? What are the visual needs that I can work to accomplish for that patient by enriching their lives so they can succeed to their greatest potential? It's given me such laser-like focus that I prescribe differently. And I also love your quote, what if all you fit was single-use lenses? So we're a 65% daily lens practice. So we're at 65. I intend that we'll be in the 80s by the end of this year because of a great toric and a great multifocal that we have available to us. I've been talking to my patients about it for 6 months. Right, next year we're going to have an even better option for you, in those multifocal and toric patients. So what I'm encouraging you to do is to live actually what Brad told you, is activate your why in every account. I don't want this to be a little gimmick that you just, throw in your glove box. I would encourage you to keep this at hand, maybe even keep it in your pocket or your purse, that you look at it every single day. I don't go into every single patient and say, okay, I'm going to enrich this person's life. But I recently challenged my team in my office in a book about habits, and I can send you all the little link that breaks it down. But how can I change my habits every single day so that I'm working to enrich people's lives? And that doesn't mean I'm going in on every patient and saying that. But as a result, every single day I say it at least once, either out loud to a patient or I say it to myself. How can I enrich people's lives today? So I encourage you to actually live this and take it with you. So you have to live your why in everything that you do. I found these pictures of these two cute little girls online. I don't know who they are, but I'm just kidding. So on the left is Via, Olivia. She goes by Via, and she's 2. And this is Ellie, and she's about 4 months. She's starting to talk. nothing we recognize, but you're starting. And then just the other day, Via learned the word no. So we're trying to unteach her no. But I love the fact that everything I do, these are the companies that I own, not the one on the bottom right-hand corner. I don't have any ownership in that one. But when it comes for me, because I get the opportunity, the very unique opportunity, I'm so blessed to work with a lot of different companies. I've had the opportunity, as Todd said, to meet the right people that have, got me writing and lecturing all around the country. I mean, next week, I'm in the great state of North Dakota lecturing, right? I mean, right on. I'm from South Dakota originally. We were just talking about when I actually stayed in town, right? So, I'm getting to lecture all around the place, and I get to work with a lot of different companies. And there's times where it's just like, my why doesn't align with yours. I don't like what you're doing. I don't like where you're heading. But if I can work with a company so that I can enrich people's lives so they can succeed to their greatest potential, I've succeeded. And it's in every aspect of your life. Every aspect. So who's your competition? You guys work great as a team. I love the team building exercise that we started our day with. The second time I've done that, I love it. You guys work so solidly together. I want you to think of your competition as the same person's picture who's up on the screen. There is none. The competition that you have is you. And if you can be the best you that you can be, you will never go to bed at night thinking you had a bad day. Since I have worked to enrich people's lives, when I go to bed, how many of you go home at the end of the day and you're like, that was a good day, right? And somebody says, what was it? Why? And they're like, I don't know, just felt like a good day, right? The reason that those are good days is because you fulfilled your why. You may not have the definition, have it down on paper, which I encourage you to do. You need to go through this exercise and have your why, how, and what for your entire life. And if you do that, like I said, you'll have laser-like focus. But those are the days where you feel great. And then there's some days where you just like, gosh, I hate my job, I'm kicking the dog, the whole thing. It's because your why was not able to be fulfilled. So since I've discovered my why, I know the things I have to do in order to have a good day. Your competition is you. Be the best you. Set your own goals. Set your own strategies. Set your own outcomes that you want to have with each of the doctors and the accounts that you come in contact with. There's doctors that are out there who know their why, right? They know what they're doing. But people don't sign on because of what you do. They sign on because of why you do it. Doctors whose practices are successful because their patients buy on to why they do what they do. And when you go into each of these clinics and you start working with the doctors, you're going to quickly start discovering people's whys. It's amazing as I go through and I start meeting people how I'm picking up on their why. I can't tell them this is your why because it has to be a self-discovery. But I start seeing them. And the more you ingrain yourself into this, the more you're going to be able to go into that account. And you're going to be able to sit down with that doctor. You're going to be able to work with them. And you're going to help them fulfill their why. And when you do that, success is beyond what you can imagine. I guarantee it. It's worked for me in my office. I know it can happen. And every day I love going to work because of it. So that's my encouragement to you as you look towards your future in the coming year is don't just sit on the sideline and have this be the 2014, sales meeting and it goes by the wayside. Allow this year to be the year where it transforms and inspires your life. And you can do that by understanding your why. Not everybody is going to buy into it 100%, but if I can impact 2 people in this room to do this, I can nearly guarantee you that those people's numbers will be at the top of the list, that those people's fulfillment for this year will be beyond measure, and those people's practices that they work with will be completely turned around by the Why I Care message. I'll pass it back to you, Brad.